Perfect. So, Donna McWilliams of Electra Learning is in the business spotlight today. Thank you for joining me, Donna.
Thanks, Brenda.
So, Electra Learning, change management and learning specialists, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
So, how long have you been doing that for?
So I've kind of been doing change management and training all my career. So the last 22 years. But I've been involved in Electra for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've always been in training from my first work experience right through to first job and as a training administrator. And yeah, 22 years on, still still involved in learning.
Yeah, you must love it then.
I do, and I love learning myself as well. Every day I'm learning something new, go on as many courses as I can. So yeah, I just get it. I get what it means for people to learn.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength. It's all about continual learning. So what kind of learning are you training are you providing?
So it's mostly around IT business systems. So any like Microsoft 365 is a common one that everybody uses, but also companies use ERP type systems.
Mm-hmm.
So asset management. So two of the big ones that we commonly train on is SAP and Maximal.
Okay.
They're the big ones that most large companies use to maintain their assets or purchase equipment and maintain their inventory. So those are key as well.
And you'll be training people within teams within businesses, or do you do where people can just join a course that's running like an open course? Do you do both?
We don't do open courses. It's all tailored specifically to the client's needs, because what we do is we train on the business process rather than just the system. So it's about how the companies need to use the systems and then how the systems then support those business processes. I think for us, the user has to know why, what's in it for them, why they're doing it, instead of like the typical click button type training that you get with IT systems. It's much more important to know the process. So that's where we start from.
Brilliant. I was talking to a client just yesterday who might actually need your services. So I'll talk to you about that when we get to the end of the interview. So who's the first person that comes to mind when you think about success?
Oh goodness. Probably the really obvious ones, like Steve Jobs, Richard Branson. They've got a lot of good things that they do. Quite innovative as well. But locally, there's so many great business people in Aberdeen who inspire me every day. Far too many to mention, but it's a great hub for entrepreneurship and great business stuff going on here.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So, what are your aspirations for Electra Learning then? Where do you want to take it in the next 5 years or so?
I guess from the very beginning, it's always been about growth. When I started 14 years ago, I was the first member of staff, and we've grown really organically over that time. So we've got offices in the UK, in Canada and America now. So for us, every conversation we have about strategy, it's about growth, but it's very much about doing the growth in the right way. Our culture is so important. So it's not just about getting loads of people on, loads of clients. The clients have to be the right people for us. We have to recruit people that are right for our culture as well. Even though we've got the offices in the UK, Canada and US, when we all get together, which we do like quarterly socials, everybody goes, God, they're just the same as us, and it's, I think, because we've built up such a really great culture about the type of people that we have in the organisation. It's important to grow not too fast. It's grow in the right way. So it's all about growth.
So have you got your eye on some additional locations, or?
So just last year we incorporated in the US. So that's our kind of big focus. Eastern Canada as well. So we opened in Toronto a couple of years ago. So those are our kind of main growth, global focus for the next couple of years. But also COVID has helped us open up a bit wider in the UK. So we've got some clients down in like Cambridge and even Ireland and stuff who before we probably couldn't have serviced as cost effectively because we would have to travel. But due to COVID, there's much more acceptance on delivering some remote training remotely, working on projects more remotely. So it's opened up across the UK and Ireland for us to work as well. Lots of opportunities.
Great. That was one of my questions actually, is how the pandemic had affected your business. I guess there's maybe within the customers, they have more requirement for training in some of these systems because of the different ways that the customers are working.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I guess even for themselves and the way they work, you know, you're expected to use a lot of your tools a lot more collaboratively. And like the 365, Microsoft 365 allows us to do that. But people were typically just using it in the same ways they always did.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave us an opportunity at that time to work with companies to work on projects that we call like the modern workplace. So it's like how we're actually changing the way we work to be this hybrid, remote working environment. So it's much more about how you can use tools properly to suit your environment and the situation.
Yeah, I guess, and we're probably all aware that we've got these tools, but they can do more than we're actually using them for. So yeah.
We're a creature of habits. We want to just use it the way we always did. You know, even I'm guilty as well of a toolbar moves and I'm like, how do I get it back to the way it was before? But there's a reason for it moving there. It's much more efficient in the long run.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about the team that you've built and you mentioned building the right culture and therefore recruiting the right people within the team. What are your thoughts on the current employment situation in the UK? It's hard, but I guess globally as well. What are your thoughts on the talent? The word's gone right out of my head. the lack of talent that's being reported at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we have been trying to recruit probably for about the past year, and we've struggled. It's the first time we've ever been in this situation. I think it's a number of factors. You know, I think we actually lost. I think we lost a huge skill set from the region during COVID. So people kind of reevaluated, moved away. We actually had a couple of people in the business who decided to move away as well out of Aberdeen. Fortunately, they're still with the business, which is great because COVID has allowed that to happen. So yeah, I think people have moved. I think people have also had a bit of a change in perspectives after COVID. So people have retrained into different industries, different markets. There's a whole lot of bad press about, oil and gas. And I think that makes the younger generation who graduates and stuff want to avoid coming into the oil and gas industry. People are retiring earlier as well. I just think there's a whole load of factors that's made it a lot more difficult.
Any ideas how it's gonna turn around? That's maybe a bit of a hard question for you.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's about looking what we can do. I don't know what we can do as a wider community, but certainly when we first moved out to Canada, we went out and it was mainly IBM Maximal that we were working with. And when we went out there, we were the company that we were working with were the first in the country to take on Maximal. So there was no skill set whatsoever of Maximal trainers or project managers out there. And that was a hard realization for us because we had this massive project. So it's like, how are we going to recruit if we don't have any of the skill sets? So we actually built this academy program. So it's a 6-month academy program. We brought people over here to the UK as well. We did it over in Canada. So we've built this academy program to bring people in. So we're a training company. If we can't train the skills, then we're not doing our jobs right. So as long as people have got the right attitudes, and we can work with them to train it. I also think for my generation, we maybe seen work as like 3, 4, or 5 years, whereas I think more people are looking for shorter term workplaces. So that's really difficult if you're going to spend 6 months to train people, but they only want to stay for a year or two. It's definitely a balance that we need to get right.
That's a great message, though. Well, if you can't find the talent, go and train your own.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Awesome.
And it's worked really well for us. One of the people that we trained way back in many years ago, she's now one of our delivery managers. She came in as a trainee through the academy program. So we're very big on kind of promoting internally and helping people grow where they need to grow or they want to grow.
Brilliant. And I guess your role as training and a learning and training company is helping other organizations to do the same as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's all about that growing and making people's lives easier.
Yes.
You know, it's like, especially with IT systems, it just creates this stress and oh no, I'm going to break it. We're all guilty of it. But it's just like trying to demystify and make it not as big a thing. And we're all resistant to change as well. So break it down, make it easy for people, and it helps.
So that's taken me nicely on to my next question, actually. So, I mean, obviously the tools that you mentioned that you're training your customers on are really valuable in their businesses. But do you have any recommended tools that have helped you in your business?
In terms of growing the business, or
well, running the business, making life easier, I don't know, managing the finances, managing the people, just the tools and systems that you use within your business.
Yes, Microsoft 365 has opened up a range of opportunities for us to just collaborate much more effectively. Microsoft Teams has been a massive game changer. There's some other great ones that I love. To do, Microsoft To Do is brilliant just from a productivity perspective. I guess we've got some kind of internal tools as well. Like we use a system called Podio, which is a Citrix tool, and that's really useful for like your CRM system, but it's also project management. So that's been really useful. So yeah, there's so many tools out there. I think that's probably the hardest part, is trying to figure out what's right for you and your business.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Clients going, oh, I need something that'll do this, and they go and do some research, and there's lots of tools that will do what they need, and and making a decision. Yeah.
But what we always find is, again, the Aberdeen business community is fantastic. So we'll go to loads of companies that we go and ask them what they do, and kind of share ideas and learn from other people as well, rather than just try and figure it out yourself.
Oh, that's a very good point. Who do you think's been your biggest supporter then in business?
From a company perspective?
Well, either from a company perspective or from a personal perspective.
From a company perspective, we couldn't do what we do without our partners. So we have got a lovely relationship with some other businesses. So we're very much about the end user and about how they use systems, but we're not very technical. So we work with some technical partners. They do all the techie pieces. We're almost the middleman to make it relate to the end user. So without those great relationships, we can offer a great service to our clients. Our clients as well are just absolutely incredible. But I guess I would say the team themselves, the people that have worked in Electra over the years and that we've got today, I just have the best time with the people that we've recruited and that are part of it. And there's some people that have gone and come back. There's some people that have gone, haven't come back, but they became clients, or they stay friends. So yeah, the people that I work with every day continue to inspire me and I guess I learn a lot from them as well.
Just realised that I didn't ask. I'm not sure. How big's your team? How many team members do you have?
So we have 15 here in the UK, we have 22 in Canada, and we've just at the moment got 1 in the US.
So a big team and opportunity for expansion.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what have been your biggest learnings in business and in life?
God, loaded question. So many, you know, I learn all the time, every day. I guess one of the hardest lessons was back in like 2018, trying to do too much. You know, I was managing the business, trying to grow the business. I was also working on a project, one of our biggest projects, massive project, trying to run that. I was still delivering training. So I had, at the time, we had a team of 20 people here in the UK, very flat management structure. So it was just myself and the team. I just kind of, very stupidly on hindsight, but guilty of thinking, yeah, I can do it all. And I couldn't, you know, I had 2 young kids as well, and trying to like work lots of hours in a day, trying to balance the family, try to do more than one job. And it came to a head and my health suffered. So everything changed for me then. I would say I had to do some real hard work on myself, getting back to who I was, and getting back to work without falling into the same traps that I had got myself into. But there was a massive change that happened, and we put in a management structure, which has been the best few years since we did that. You know, it feels like you've got a real support team around you. So yeah, out of that came some great stuff, but it was a really hard lesson. And if I can help other people to not go down that route, that's what I try and do, especially for the management team that are coming up. And we're doing succession planning and things like that. And it's a big thing to just make sure that people don't get into that cycle of trying to do it all themselves.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that there are many business owners that are going through that same process. So yeah, it doesn't have to be like that, and don't, because I guess a lot of people think that it's to be expected when you're running your own business, and yeah, I don't like hearing anyone say that. So
absolutely,
yeah.
and we set those expectations for ourselves. So it's only ourselves that can get ourselves out of that mindset.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you're a mum as well, and yeah, running your own business. You're probably aware that I'm quite a champion for women in business. So what would be your advice to another woman getting into business and looking to start or scale?
Don't do it all yourself. Don't try and do it all yourself. Yeah, I mean, finding the balance is hard. I'm not saying that I've got the balance right at all. But you need to just be careful about what traps you end up getting yourself into, like working late at night, weekends, things like that. I think you really have to constantly reassess what you're doing, and reevaluate what your balance is. And I think that's for anybody, not just mums or females, or everybody has a habit of, well, not everybody, but people that are running businesses or are in executive roles, things like that, they can have really long hours. And it's about looking at what things are you doing that you don't have to be doing? What efficiencies can you have? What are you making yourself a slave to? You know, email is massive. I've done a lot of evaluation on how much time I spend using email, for example, and it's about going, right, okay, I don't have to spend a full day, because you could spend a full day just responding to emails and things like that. And it's a lot of work, and it's constant work, because we're in a lot of bad habits, and it's trying to recognize those and what's serving you and what's not.
That's brilliant. Really good. Really good. Yeah. Check your bad habits and don't get down. Yeah.
Much better. Easier way of saying it than that big spiel.
No, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Donna. So yeah, just where's the business going in the future then? What's your ambitions for the future?
I love to travel, and part of the growth mindset that we all have, I'd love to see us open in more countries.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be, there's a big market in what we do in Australia, Singapore, yeah, more across Europe as well. So I'd love to see us expand much more globally and continue to do
Brilliant.
that, but again, in the right way and at the right time for us.
Exciting times.
It is.
So if anybody watching or listening wants to get in touch with you, Donna, where do they find Donna or Electra?
So you can go on our website at electralearning.co.uk. Sorry, electralearning.com. And my email address is donna@electralearning.com as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for being in the spotlight today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thanks, Brenda.